Have you ever, really looked at a bird egg?
Yeah.
The details are amazing, right?
Oh, absolutely. Such variation.
Exactly. And today, on the deep dive, we're jumping into something pretty cool where that meets tech. We're
Mm.
talking about using AI image recognition to ID bird species just from egg photos.
hmm
You sent in some fascinating stuff on this, and well, we're here to give you that quick, thorough download, the how, the why, the tricky bits.
Yeah, and the core idea, the mission, really, is to figure out how you'd build an AI model that can reliably tell you, okay, this egg belongs to that species,
Just from a picture.
just from a
Yeah.
picture. And the sources you sent highlight like two main places to get these pictures. You've got museum collections,
Okay.
which usually means lots of variety, maybe older photos, possibly some info missing on the labels.
Right, like who collected it when, maybe not the exact species sometimes.
Potentially, yeah. And then you have lab photos, much more controlled.
Ah, so specific species, super accurate info.
Exactly. High accuracy, but probably way fewer photos overall compared to a big museum archive.
Okay, so the main goal is species prediction. But I think the sources mentioned something else too, about the egg characteristics.
That's right. It's not just about the species label. The idea is also to get the AI to recognize things like, egg size, the patterns, the texture even.
Can use those features to help make the species prediction better.
Precisely. It adds another layer of information for the AI to work with. And thinking bigger, if we understand those visual traits better, well, maybe it tells us something about breeding or population health.
Interesting. But back to the data. You got this museum data, tons of it, maybe a bit messy, and the lab data, smaller but clean. That sounds like a challenge.
It definitely is. That diversity is great for making the AI robust, able to handle different kinds of images, but you have to balance the museum data's breadth against those possible annotation gaps.
And the lab data's pinpoint accuracy against its limited scope.
Exactly. So how do you deal with that limited scope, especially from the lab side?
Yeah, if you don't have many photos, how does the AI learn properly?
Well, one key technique mentioned is data augmentation. For that smaller lab set, you can artificially increase its size
How?
by doing simple transformations on the existing images. Things like flipping them horizontally, rotating them slightly, maybe zooming in or out a bit, changing the brightness.
Ah, okay. So you're basically showing the AI the same egg, but making it look slightly different each time.
You got it. It helps the AI learn the essential features of that species egg, regardless of the angle or lighting in the photo. Makes it more resilient.
Got it. Creating more views. Okay, so what's the actual AI brain here? What kind of model does this?
The sources point strongly towards convolutional neural networks, CNNs.
Right, those come up a lot with image stuff.
They do because they're really, really good at picking out spatial hierarchies of patterns. Lines, curves, texture, shapes, all the things that make up an image. Perfect for spotting subtle differences between eggs.
Makes sense. And they mentioned speeding things up too.
Yeah, using something called transfer learning. Instead of training a CNN from absolute scratch, which takes ages and needs tons of data.
You take one that's already trained.
Exactly. You take a model that's already learned to recognize general visual features from millions of other images, cats, dogs, cars, whatever, and then you fine-tune it specifically on the bird egg photos.
So it already knows how to see. You just teach it what eggs look like.
That's a great way to put it. Gives it a head start.
Okay, smart. So you've got the data. You've maybe augmented it. You've chosen your CNN. How do you know if it actually works? How do you test it?
Testing is absolutely crucial. You can't just train it on all your data and call it a day.
Why not?
Because then you don't know if it's actually learned to identify eggs or just memorize the specific photos you showed it.
Yeah.
So you split the data, typically into three sets: training, validation, and testing. The AI learns from the training set. You use the validation set to tweak its settings, kind of like practice quizzes.
Send the test set.
That's the final exam. Data the AI has never seen before. That tells you how well it generalizes to new, unknown egg photos. And importantly, the plan seems to be to train and test separately on the museum and lab data.
To see how well it performs on each type.
Exactly. See where its strengths and weaknesses are depending on the data source.
But what about those iffy annotations in the museum data? That still feels like a potential snag.
It is, yeah. It's a known challenge. The sources suggest a couple of ways forward. One is, well, the hard way. Get experts to manually review and correct or complete the labels.
Resource intensive, I bet.
Very. Another option mentioned is semi-supervised learning.
How does that work?
It's kind of clever. You use the smaller amount of perfectly labeled data, maybe from the lab set or verified museum ones, to help the model make educated guesses about the unlabeled or uncertain museum data. The model sort of bootstraps its own learning.
Interesting. Using what it does know to figure out what it doesn't.
Pretty much. It's a way to leverage all the data, even the imperfect parts.
Okay, pulling this together then.
Yeah.
What are the big takeaways for someone listening? What should they really grasp from this deep dive?
Well, I think first, it really shows how complex AI projects can be, even for something that sounds simple like identifying an egg, right?
Yeah, it's not just point and shoot.
Definitely not. Second, it hammers home how vital data is, both how much you have and how good it is. Quality and quantity really matter.
And the different data sources, like museum versus lab, bring their own pluses and minuses to the table.
Absolutely. And finally, you see how specific techniques like data augmentation or transfer learning or those semi-supervised methods are used quite strategically to overcome limitations and just get the AI to perform better.
So it's this blend of biology, data management, and some pretty smart AI techniques. From dusty museum drawers to clean lab settings, AI is getting incredibly specific.
It really is.
Which leaves you thinking, if AI can get this good at telling apart something as subtle and specific as a bird's egg, what else could this kind of detailed visual AI be used for? In nature or, anywhere else? What happens when AI can see the tiny details we might miss?